Hello everybody, this is Tracy again from Tracy's Personal Training, Pilates and Yoga, and I wanted to share with you some answers to some questions I have been getting in the stroke recovery support group that we have on Facebook here. So one of the subjects that's been coming up is, one, we always go over spasticity, but the numbness and lack of sensation, and maybe numb toes, numbness in the legs, sensation loss, and things of that you guys go through. Okay, so a few things here. Everybody's stroke is so different, and I think most of you guys are getting to understand that. Everyone could be told they had the exact same stroke in the same place, and their recovery is all completely different. They're all struggling with maybe different things that hasn't come back yet, or something came back quicker on one person. And sometimes it just happens. Sometimes it's because the people who it came back quicker, they've done special exercises, or they ate better, or maybe they didn't. It just is, there many dynamics involved. But what I want to go over today is the sensations in the feet and the numbness and things I was just discussing. So let me give you a couple stories here first. Okay, so most of you know that I'm an author as well. When I was training a stroke survivor, he was 65 when he had a stroke. I met him 6 months post-stroke, and he came to me in a walker. He had many issues going on. And he is my first book. It's called The Stroke of an Artist, The Journey of a Fitness Trainer and Stroke Survivor. He wanted his story shared to help other survivors, because he knows how hard it is to get things back, and the massive hard work and the struggles and just all the dynamics that come with it. And two of the things that happened with him that was just amazing to be with him when it took place. One of them is we were working on, let me go back a little bit. You work on everything on the body that you can, and sometimes things come back that you're like, wow, this just came back, and you weren't even working on that. So the brain is sending messages back and forth through the spinal cord to the nerves all over the body. So you may be concentrating on your hand, or you may be concentrating and doing squats, and all of a sudden something comes back you didn't even realize you were working on. So an example of that is one with this gentleman here, because he has such a great story. He was training with me 3 days a week private at the gym, but he also would come in and do the exercises that he was able to do without me watching him on the other days. He would walk on the treadmill when he could. He was able to use both hands, so he was able to hold on to both hands on the treadmill when he was ready. Some survivors, one arm's not working at all, so they have to rely on one hand, so they have to be cautious and be safer. And everybody has their limits to what things they have to work with their body right now. So let's not, while you're learning from me or watching my videos or reading my books, try not to take it as, well, I can't do that. Try to just think, okay, this may not help me, but it may help someone over here. Because everybody's different. That's why you go on the internet, and there's so many different ways to get there, because everybody's sharing stories of what worked for them with hopes that their story may help you, but possibly what they did, your body can't do yet, or your body can't get back that way, but you take another pathway there. So as you guys watch my videos and we share, everybody's sharing stories in the stroke recovery support group that I run, try to just be really cautious of how we interact with others when they give advice, because everybody's coming from what worked for them with hopes that it can help someone else, even though their story may not have anything to do with what you're going through. Okay, so now that I've said that, with this, my gentleman Gary, who was in my first book, he would go to the gym, like I was saying, all the other days. So he was basically at the gym about 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours, almost 6 days a week. His wife would just drop him off there. She would go to work, and he would do things. At first, he couldn't do very much, but he just kept trying and trying. But what he was doing, he didn't just focus on, I want my hand back. he would do everything possible his body could do. It may not mean he was working on the hand specifically, but his hand was assisting in certain exercises the best it could, and it helped. It all just works together, if that's making sense. Okay, watch my other videos too to help you understand that. So one thing with him, when we're talking about sensations in the hands, he started coming to my Pilates mat classes that I taught. I taught a group of a mat class at the gym, Pilates, we got on the floor. He wasn't very good at getting on the floor at first, but he did it anyway. He'd bring his cane, he'd help himself up, but this was almost a year after knowing him. So he was already going on a year and a half post-stroke when he was able to come to class. He probably could do 30%, kind of okay, what the other classmates did, but he just sat near me. I'd given special instructions, and he just kept trying. Every few weeks, he'd go, oh my God, look, you're doing that now. So as he was working on the Pilates, which is full body, core, neuro work, just like the other ways I work with people, he was hitting his body from all different angles. So that helped things come back for him. But I use, if you can see here, balance pads, BOSU balls, balance discs, and another BOSU ball. And also on the yoga and Pilates mats, usually they have little bumps on them. And so when people do yoga, I don't recommend yoga for stroke recovery all the time though. So that's not what I'm saying here. But I'm talking about the mats. The mats have little bumps on them. So when you're barefoot on the mats and you spread your toes, it helps stimulate the nerves on your feet. When you stand on these unstable surfaces like the BOSU ball or the balance disc or the pad, you stimulate your nervous system more. So it's good to do things with your shoes on because it's safer. You may need more ankle support or wherever your body is in this. But when you can do things barefoot safely, you have the chance to stimulate more nerves. So it doesn't always matter where you had your stroke. Sometimes it does. But like I was saying earlier, you can put 20 stroke survivors within a group, and they all had strokes in different parts of the brain, and they all may have tingling in their feet or numbness in their toes or pain in their hip. They may have different things and the same things going on, and their brain was hit at all different spots. So I try not to get people to focus so much on where exactly their stroke hit, because yes, it matters, it does matter, but it doesn't always matter. Is that making sense? Okay, so please watch my other videos or look at my books about the muscles. I'll still show a little bit here today, but let me show you some things. Oh, let's go back to Gary real quick. Okay, we were working one day. He was actually to the point, this was almost 2 years working together, where he was working 2 BOSU balls. He was actually doing a plank with 2 hands on one BOSU ball and his feet on the other one. And he stopped and he went, I can feel the BOSU ball in my hand now. I go, what? He goes, I always knew my hand was touching the ball, but I never felt it. I never felt the sensation. Just like that, came back that day in the middle of exercising. We weren't working on that. We weren't purposely trying to get it back at that point. It just came back in the middle of everything else he was doing all the time. And so we went up to the desk after his workout, and he got a cold water out of the cooler. He goes, I can feel the cold water now. I couldn't feel it before. So here it is 2 years later, and he's just doing everything his body can do from every route we're taking. If you see the book, you'll see all the stuff he did, and some of the videos and my YouTube channel too. It just came back, and it was fabulous. And he was also the man, I've had 2 clients with this. He was also the man who, when I showed him colors, I held up like objects of colors in him and to him, and he took a while to process the colors and to speak them. So if I hold up blue, sometimes he couldn't identify blue, or sometimes it'd take him about a minute to identify it. And he was actually, he's an artist, so colors or something his brain's used to seeing. So one day we're doing this, and the next day I brought him some different colors. I'm like, let's see what we can do with this. So what I did, I said, let's stand on a disc. So I had him stand on one of these, because by this time he was able to stand on one of these on his own. So, and remember, you always have the bars to hold on to. So he would stand on this because now he had the core strength, strong spine, and the posture to help hold him up. He already broke all the habits of this, and he had his core, and he was getting the awareness where his feet are in space, so he was able to handle something like this. So I put him on here. I started holding colors in front of him, and he can identify the colors like that. So, and that happened with another girl I was working with as well, and I talked to some neurotherapists who work with stroke survivors and things, and people that really study the brain, and it validated that when you're on these surfaces, you're stimulating your central nervous system more. When that happened, we were like, oh my God, this is so cool. And this story is in my first book. I called up one of my people who are way above me in the fitness industry, who help educate as well, but I've learned from them. And I was telling them exactly what happened, and he was explaining how when you're on these surfaces, you stimulate your nervous system, which I knew that, but I wasn't having people lacking so many things that they've lost with neuro challenges and then see them come back. So for us that don't have those neural challenges, we're still getting that stimulation in the brain, and that is stimulating the brain, exercising the brain. And so this is answering another question someone had about stimulating the nervous system in the brain. You're on these things, you're stimulating it. You stimulate it when you exercise and do other things too, but when you're on these surfaces, it does it more. So I've had people, as they're standing on these surfaces, whether they need to hold a bar to help them to or just on their own, where their hands are clenched, and I work on them opening their hand while they're on a disc or a BOSU ball, and do their hand exercises on here. They got better results than just sitting and doing it. So I know for a fact, and I know by experience, and I know and it's been proven that working on these things help. So for those of you who are having the numbness and tingling or numb spots in your legs and different things, getting on these surfaces can help you. So again, it depends. Do you need to hold on? Do you not? It all depends on your level. So when you're on the BOSU ball, so my head doesn't get cut off, let me take this back a little more. You can, again, you can hold on if you need to. If you're more advanced in your recovery where you don't necessarily need to hold on because your balance and your walking is a little better. Because remember, all you guys are at different levels, so just let everybody get out of this the level they are. When you're on here, if you're to the point, you can do bicep curls, you can do shoulder exercises, maybe you just can do one arm. Whatever you can do when you're on here, you're still stimulating your central nervous system. Your feet, your brain is constantly sending message to the nerves and the muscles through your feet saying, don't let your foot roll out, keep that big toe down, because instead of getting all this happen when you're on there, your brain is sending messages, multiple messages everywhere from head to toe to keep you on this unstable surface, okay? If by chance you can do it barefoot, it will stimulate the nerves more. But remember, safety first, and look through my books for the proper position and what you need to be on these things so you don't get hurt, because you don't want your feet rolling out. You want to control your feet so they're even, and it's in my books, it's in some of my videos too, but it's there with instructions. Another way that has helped people get sensation back in their feet is, if you have a bar, excellent. If you don't need the bar, excellent too. But, and honestly, I know most of you probably don't own 3 or 4 BOSU balls and all these pads and stuff like I do, but this is my gym, I have to for my work. But by chance you're a member of a gym and they have a few BOSU balls, and make sure they're pumped up good, and you can go stand by a bar, a squat rack bar that's hookable, that you can lock it, that works excellent. I did that all the time at the gym with clients. So you can line up a couple of these. 3 is probably good. 2 works too. But if you're able to, hope you can see me. come to one. And remember, this is going to be more advanced. You won't be able to do this the first day on the BOSU ball. You want to work on the BOSU ball, work on your balance, and work on tightening that tummy, getting your core engaged. Because remember, all these muscles, I always talk about these muscles in all my books. Those deep muscles there, and there's a lot more as well. These need to be strong to hold you up. So if your center's weak and you're trying to balance like this on these BOSU balls or just walking anywhere in your home or around town, what you're doing, you're going to have a harder challenge. You need to get the center of your body strengthened for anything to come back. The multifidus, I talk about this in my books and other videos. Your brain sends a message to this muscle first saying stabilize, the limbs are going to move. So if you're weak in your core, you're deep in your spine and you're weak in your core, and you're trying to get sensation and movement back in your hands and feet, you're going to have a harder time doing it if the brain's natural process goes, brain, stabilize, move the limbs. If this is weak, this is going to be almost like a roadblock to you. So that's why in all my books, there's a chapter with anatomy and pictures explaining this stuff. So when you get your therapy, whether you have good therapy or bad therapy, because there's both out there, we all know that. Whether you hire a trainer, good, or you find a bad one, whatever's going on out there, because we just know there's a range of everybody out there. The more you know, or the more your caregivers knows, if you're a carer or caregiver, the better it will make sense to you to do the specific exercises and why you're doing the exercises. So remember this. So when I have people on the balance product, I'm always telling them, zip up your tummy like you're putting on a girdle and stand up tall. Because if this is held in strong, and when your brain goes to say, stabilize, you're going to get messages to your feet and your nerves better. And it has been proven that poor posture, that also means your spinal cord's like this. Your spinal cord's in poor posture, it can inhibit the communication between the brain and the spinal cord to the message throughout the body. Does that make sense? Okay, remember these. Look at my books. I'll share them at the end. Most of you probably know them, but I share a lot of this. Knowing this and getting your center strong helps huge for everything. Think of babies walking. You don't see a baby learn to walk and they're like this. They keep moving till they're from crawling to standing and falling, standing, falling, standing till they can walk. They're walking up here. They're not walking like this. So they're building this strong enough so they can stabilize their body to walk when they're learning to walk. So when you need to learn to walk again and learn different things, go back to basics. Build from the center out. So when it comes to the feet and the nerves down the leg, the sciatica nerve and other things, you have the fourth, fifth lumbar. So you have 5 lumbar vertebrae, and between the fourth and fifth lumbar vertebrae are the nerves that kind of shoot down here to the legs and feet. That's where a lot of neuropathy or a lot of sciatica, people get this messed up and they get tingling down their feet or numbness or pain. So if you have really bad posture, but you want your brain to send messages here to go to your feet and your legs properly, but you're always slouched down on poor posture, it's gonna work against you. That goes for saying when it comes to your hands and arms. If you're here, or your shoulders are here, and the nerves that go down your arms come through right through here in your upper back around the 5th, 6th, and 7th vertebrae of the cervical, you have 7th cervical vertebrae, it's gonna make it harder to get the movement in your hands back. Because remember, the movements are from the brain spinal cord out. They don't start here and go in. It goes, move your finger, there. So the better posture you have, whether you're on a balance thing, whether you're sitting, whether you're standing, whether you're walking, whatever you're doing, the better communication chance you have from the brain to the spinal cord to the nerves and movement of the body, how it all functions. I may not have said that in proper order, but you know what I mean. Okay, so now that that's maybe making sense, and possibly go watch some other videos, look at my books, this will make more sense. These exercises are in my books. The Stroke Recovery, What Now, When Physical Therapy Ends, But Your Recovery Continues book, and also Tipping Towards Balance, Fitness Trainer's Guide to Stability Walking. There's exercise in that too. So, Whether you have a bar or not, find yourself balancing properly with your feet on a BOSU ball. Abs are in. When you're ready, step to the next one. Get yourself completely balanced, and then you'll go to the next one. You can step off, or if you're able, you can turn around, and you're going to do the same thing back. Keeping constant control. Nothing's about speed, and nothing is about getting there as fast as you can. Speed, it's about control. I want my foot here. I want my foot here. I'm tall and I'm balanced. And again, foot here, foot there. You can line up some balance pads. Now these are 15, 20 bucks in Amazon. Those are 100, but if you need the equipment or can use it at a gym, find it. It works. The pads, I line pads up and people can walk across these. Some of them may have their cane next to them to help them for safety. They're not as challenging as the BOSU balls, but they still have a little give in it where your nervous system's going to be stimulated. But the more you try to make your brain connect to your foot, like I want my foot here, I want this foot there, the more your brain and feet are going to learn to communicate again. Because sometimes you just have nerve damage and you can't get your feeling sensation back. And I don't know if people always know if it's that or not, because they don't always tell us or tell you guys. So nerve damage, more of a chance you may not get it back. But then you might. I don't know. The only way you know is if you keep trying things. But the more you're constantly connecting, awareness, head to toe. My hands are here, my feet are here, I want to step here. Or I want to step on here, I want this foot here. The more you focus, the more any pathways that need to be rebuilt to those feet will go. If you're just kind of like, oh, I don't feel my feet, or this walking, and you're not forcing a conscious communication there, you probably won't get them back as quick. Because it's like the message from the brain to here is interfered with a bunch of roadblocks. So we have to kind of force it through to make the new pathways. And to consciously focus on what movement you're trying to do, that's going to help your brain get a pathway there. For instance, if, say, like my left leg's working good, but the right leg's the one that's affected, I will have people do stuff with the side that's not affected, feel it, close your eyes, connect to it, watch it, see it, visualize it, and then when you work on the other side, try to visualize this side doing the same. Do things at the same time. Work both sides of the body. And so, shoes. If you're able to do it without your shoes on, I would say no socks as well, because you don't want to slip on the equipment. So, shoes off. Standing on any of these. In fact, I'll use the little one now. There's also little BOSU balls, if you rather do the little ones than the big ones. Stand on here, spread your toes, anchor your feet, where your body's going to want to do this, and you're going to keep those abs in and focus on my big toes down, my heels down, my feet are flat. You're constantly sending little messages from your brain, or getting messages from your brain, do this, to coordinate. This kind of stuff can bring back the sensations through your legs and your feet and the numbness and tingling. And it could also help with the pain to go away. But again, it's people specific. It's going to depend what's going on in your spine, your hips. If you have a lot of spasticity in the deep spine muscles, you're going to have a hard time standing tall. So you have to work on this first before this can work. It's just kind of, does that make any sense yet? So, as somebody was speaking to me today about the feet, she really wants to get the feelings back in her feet. This is what I do with my clients. It works. Now, if somebody else was here and somebody has all these other situations going on them, maybe it won't work for them. It depends on your individual situation. Another thing that is really helpful, give me a second to set it up, is, and again, Amazon, you can buy all these things in Amazon, or a gym that has your products, or a trainer that may know things. Battle ropes. Oops, it's all tangled, hold on. So, battle ropes. And again, you may only have one arm you can use, so you can only do one side. But some of these exercises, they may just be for people who have a little more movement to do they can do right now. It's going to depend on you. These happen to be 30-pound battle ropes. They're 32 feet long. So when you're using these, you stand tight, and this is the book too. Stand tight. You could squat if you want or stay tall, but you're not swinging like this. You're keeping everything engaged, your feet anchored, and you're going to do things with the ropes. So as you're doing movements with the rope, your body, if you're not holding anything engaged, you're just going to swing all over. But you have to keep your abs in, and then your brain is sending messages all over the body to stabilize, hold strong, don't fall over, don't lean forward, don't lean back, stay in place, keep your feet anchored. And at first, consciously, you may just have to tell yourself that. When I'm with clients with anything we're doing, I'm repeating, like I'm their second brain. Then in time, subconsciously, you can do this stuff. You get the pathways back, and you don't have to focus as much. But with the ropes, you can make waves with them. If you can only do one, have someone hold the other one, or you can stand on it. You can do one. Remember, as you're doing things like this, your body from head to toe is coordinating how not to fall over. What does that big toe need to do to help you stabilize to the little toe, or your heel, or your calves, or your abs, or your glutes? And you'll be surprised, sometimes subconsciously these things are going to start doing things for you when you're not trying. So you may have a hard time standing on the BOSU ball maybe and doing a squat. Maybe your brain's not coordinating it. But somebody may hand you a rope. Wow, I can do this one. Look for all the different things you can do. Because even this, you're taking a 30-pound rope, but you figure if you're just doing one, it's like 15 pounds. It's not really that heavy. It depends on where you're at. When you're doing this movement with your arms, that's biceps, triceps, shoulders, coordinating shoulder stability, abs are in, and you're trying to stay still, you're working a whole bunch of stuff. That right there can help some sensation come back on your feet, and you're not actually focusing on that. But subconsciously, your brain's making your feet do stuff. So know there may be some exercises you're trying to do that you can't do, but there's going to be these other ones you can. Do the ones you can, and do them often, and get your abs in, and get good posture. Work on movement. Use these balance products if you can. They stimulate your central nervous system better. And while you're on them, you're working your spine and your core and all those muscles I showed you in those pictures. It's forcing you to be upright and balanced, which means those muscles have to be activated, which means the brain is sending messages to those muscles to activate. If you need new pathways sent to some of your deep spine muscles you don't even know need them, you're gonna get a better chance for the pathways to go there. For instance, your psoas muscle, I talk about in many of the videos and the book. That muscle goes from your low spine, crossing the midline of your body, and attaches at the front of your leg. So this is a back muscle that goes through the body and attaches at their big thigh bone, your humerus. That's not your humerus, your femur. Humerus is up here. This is the muscle that gets short and tight when you sit too long. You need to exercise up tall. Don't exercise like this. Exercise up tall. Sit up tall. Keep your hips steady when you're sitting. If this is short and tight and squeezing and really tight in here or uneven in here, this is where the nerves come to go down your leg and to your feet. So sometimes this is what is happening that needs strengthening to make the sensation of the feet come back. In some people, you may have neuropathy. It depends what's going on. Everybody has different reasons to have things going on down there. Watch your food, watch your diet. Bill Gassamus has great videos on his YouTube channel and I forget that he has a website. I share it. If you look through the things, you'll see him, and he's also in this group. He shared a story with me once in an interview we did about when the numb spots he has in his legs and just throughout his body, that the days he eats like a lot of carbs, a lot of processed food, just not real healthy, the next day he has more numbness. The numbness is stronger on those days. That right there is an example that your diet can play into it as well. Because remember, not everybody has this, but studies have shown a lot that, you know, the carbs, processed food, possibly wheat, gluten for some people, depends on your body. Some foods cause your body to have more inflammation. If you have more inflammation around your nerves, you're not going to get, it's going to change your sensations. So clean up your food, eat as good as you can. Try not to eat processed stuff and canned stuff. Drink your water, hydrate your brain and body, because if your nervous system, your fascia, your brain, your muscles are dehydrated, it's going to make the systems not work very well. And if the systems aren't working well, it's going to have a harder time bringing things back. So let's review one more time. Oh, this is what I want to show you. Sorry. This is a cut part of the spine. So this is just a couple vertebrae close up. So that's a little tiny section of your spine and large. Look at all those muscles there. If you have spasticity or anything going on where the brain's not getting messages to your deep spine muscles, you're going to have a harder time with other things coming back as well. And you might not always feel this. You may not know that because you're not consciously trying to bend it's not like bending your hand or flexing and trying to move your fingers. It's different. So if you have them, and maybe it's like these little tiny ones, I showed it to you upside down. I don't have my glasses on. You have little tiny rotator muscles. If there's spasticity in those muscles have to do with proprioception and spatial awareness. They help messaging of proprioception in your body. So when you're standing on these products and you're possibly on here and you're doing some work like this, or follow your hand and work on visual tracking, that helps spatial awareness as well. If you can't raise your hands, have someone in front of you. Walk back and forth and have your eyeballs follow it. This all helps with your spatial awareness. And as you're balancing on those, on the BOSU ball, you're activating these deep spine muscles. You're activating all the muscles in your core, which is a lot more than this, and all of these. And if you see my new book on the spine, it's pretty much an anatomy book of all the spine muscles and the power that is in here. This is like the engine to the body. You need your brain to have a strong core, a strong spine. It's like a tree. You need the trunk strong for everything out here to work better. So I hope this helped you guys. There's not really hey, here's the one fix all to everything. That's just one of the sucky things in life. I wish it was that easy. So I share as much as I can what has worked with my clients and what studies back what I've done. So when I wrote the first book, and some of you know this, I was interviewed by several people, but I was also, this is the book here, The Stroke of an Artist, The Journey of a Fitness Trainer and Stroke Survivor. There he is right there, doing a ball squat on the wall when he couldn't even sit on a ball when I met him. He was in a walker when I met him. Anyway, after that book came out, I got contacted from all over the place. People tell me they can't find a good trainer. They can't find good therapy. They've been hurt by trainers and just ask me all these questions. And then I did a book called Tipping Towards Balance, A Fitness Trainer's Guide to Stability Walking. That's me and my dog on the cover. And it could be backwards because I'm on my cell phone filming this. Anyway, this helps people balance stability, even people who didn't have strokes. It goes over these exercises as well. But each book has a chapter on with these muscles I just showed you. They're in there so you can understand what's really going on with your body and why you need to get parts of the body strong to get things further out to work. My third book, I was contacted by the medfited.org. They're a medical fitness company. It's a company that's trying to help. It's the foundation trying to merge the medical industry with fitness, because you figure some of you guys have years of therapy, some of you guys you get cut short, but usually there's not enough therapy for the years of recovery you need. And most people are just kind of left, what do I do now? They're asking other survivors what they did, and they're YouTubing their things, their questions, and they're not always getting answers that help. So that's what this company is doing. So they asked me to write the Stroke Recovery and Exercise CEC course for their company, so I did. But when I wrote that, I thought, wow, how many fitness people around the world are going to go take it so they can help train people with education? So I thought, because literally I've had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of contacts from people. I even had a couple in their 80s travel 3,000 miles from New Jersey to Florence, Oregon, where I'm at, to live here for 30 days to train me, because they've just had horrible stories of what they've experienced there with trainers and therapists. I felt so bad for them, it made me cry. So they were here when I was finishing the course, and at that time I thought, let's convert this into a book, which is Stroke Recovery What Now and Physical Therapy Ends, but your recovery continues. So I kind of reworded it more for caregivers and stroke survivors, so you guys can gain the knowledge that I want the industry to learn to help people. So in here also there's the chapter on muscles and the exercises, a lot of exercises. All the stuff I just taught you here is in here in more detail. It goes over the battle ropes, how to hold the battle ropes, and talks about the brain and hydrating your brain. It is a lot in here. I suggest getting this and just learning more about the body, because you don't want to limit yourself by someone saying, well, this happened, my stroke was in this part of the brain, I was told never get it back. Maybe that's true, maybe it's not. Until you challenge it in all different ways and getting the pathways, just going all crazy trying to make new pathways for your movements, you're not going to know. So, and then my final book I just did, I have a brain one coming out, it's not done yet though, The Power of Your Spine. This is pretty much an anatomy book, and it shows you the muscles, the muscles in your spine, and there's so many of them, and how we just teaching which muscles make which movements. So just knowing that, if you can look through a book and know how many muscles literally rotate your spine, and you're trying to get movement back, but you're trying to get movement back by a funny exercise at the gym or something, this will help you understand why and how to get there more. So anyway, I did the books to help people because I had stories. If you go through some of the videos, you'll hear some of the stories. I cannot believe some of the sad stories survivors and caregivers have gone through trying to find proper help. So again, my answers aren't the answers to everybody's, but it's what I know. It's what I know is working. I still keep learning. Every time I write something, a month later, it's like, wow, I didn't know that. I could have put that in the book. So learn your body, learn your muscles, posture, good posture, strengthen your core, your spine, however, or whatever you're trying to get back in your body. If this part of your body is just weak and like this, you're not going to get the other things back. So as fast, maybe some people come back no matter what, but for most of them, most of us, most survivors, this needs to be strong. So this can be strong, just like an apple tree. If the apple tree is hollow, you get a branch with a couple apples, the tree's gonna go boom. You get a tree that's strong and thick and nourished, those apples are gonna grow, and it can get more and more weight on the branches. It's not gonna fall over. It can hold more apples, and it can make more apples. So there you go. Most of you guys know me, but again, I'm Tracy L. Markley. I just showed you my books. My websites are tracymarkley.com, TracyMarkley.com. It's in the YouTube section of my writing. And Amazon, I'm in Amazon with the books. It's Amazon.com /Tracy Markley. All my links are everywhere in there if you go to my website. And also Tracy'sPersonalTraining.com. No E in my name, Tracy. Anyway, have a great day. Get educated. Remember, with knowledge is power. Learn your body, learn how it works so you can take charge of some things that maybe you thought you can't. Okay? Have a great day and don't give up.